Salam everyone. So we're still continuing with the series of purification of the heart, and the second disease we're talking about is Ghafla. Ghafla in Arabic, in English, is inattentiveness or obliviousness, heedlessness. These are all words like it's a complete fake sense of security, and it's fake. So you know when you're in a plane and you're just watching one movie after the other, or you're downloaded something on Netflix and just watching, and then suddenly a split-second turbulence happens on the plane, and you completely we all flip out, and it puts things into perspective, and we start pulling in the Quran, reading one or two verses or something. Each one starts putting in their prayers real quick, and then after 15 minutes, or not even 15 minutes, 5 minutes of security again, we just hit the resume button and we continue watching as if nothing happened. This is like you're in ghafla, and then suddenly you wake up, and then you go back to ghafla again. That's I'm just trying to put it into perspective. It's a terrible lack of attention to what is important, and then being preoccupied with something completely trivial that doesn't matter anyways. This is ghafla in a nutshell. And an interesting piece of knowledge is, or an interesting fact is that the word insan, or the word human being in Arabic, is insan. And there's two derivatives, at least, to the word insan. One is uns. Uns comes from, like in Arabic, you always have to go back to the root of the word. So uns comes from being a social being, or companionship, or just like human beings, like intimacy, and this is one thing, and some people say this is the root of the word human being or insan comes from that. But another one is nisyan, and it can be both of them. Nisyan is being forgetful all the time, and that's a fact that human beings are forgetful, and it is a mercy from God that we forget, but it shouldn't be to an extent that, because forgetting is a coping mechanism, but it's not to an extent that you're completely oblivious from the facts and the truth in front of your eyes. That's the difference. So what are we forgetful or oblivious or inattentive to? God, presence of God, the Creator, and being accountable, and that there will be a day of judgment. So what our actions and what we intend to do, we're completely there are no consequences. A lot of us just forget and we live and we don't care. There are no consequences to anything we do. And death. Death is a fact. It happens to everyone, but we just don't want to talk about it. It's in a black box somewhere, and we really don't want to talk about it. And the ultimate form of heedlessness or obliviousness is not seeing the things the way they truly are. So the Prophet ﷺ used to say, Allahumma arinal-haqqa haqqan warzuqnat-tiba'ah wa arinal-batila batilan warzuqnaj-tinabah. What does that mean? So God, oh please God, show me truth as truth, nothing else, and bless me with the ability to be able to follow the truth once I recognize it's the truth, and show me falsehood as falsehood, and also bless me with the ability to say no, I don't want to do something wrong. Because sometimes you recognize, you're doing something wrong. It's good to at least to be able to recognize that you're doing something wrong, but the higher thing is to actually being able to not do something wrong. And at the same time, sometimes we see a lot of people doing something right. First of all, the worst level is you arguing, no, it's not right. I have no idea what you're talking about. This is not the truth. This is this, whatever it is. And this is a completely, this is the extreme part. It's very obvious this is the right thing to do. Why are you even arguing about this? You understand? And so ghafla in the Quran came in many different places, and the way God defined it is that لهم قلوب لا يفقهون بها ولهم أعين لا يبصرون بها ولهم آذان لا يسمعون بها أولئك كالأنعام بل هم أضل أولئك هم الغافلون. They have hearts that they don't even comprehend with, or think with, or understand with. They're not compassionate with their hearts. They don't use their hearts at all. They have eyes, but they don't see with them. They just look at what's on the outside, but they don't look beyond that. They have ears, but they don't hear with them anything. These are just like animals, Just take things at surface. They don't understand. They don't analyze things. They don't connect the dots. They're even worse. That's what God is saying. They are al-ghafilun, or the ones who are inattentive, heedless, or in a state of heedless or obliviousness. So be very wary of this ghafla, because a lot of the people who speak about this topic or wrote about this topic, they say that's the root of all diseases. It's not even being aware. You know, we spoke before about guilt, and sometimes your heart is your compass. It tells you what's right, what's wrong inside. You should always keep that healthy inside, that little compass, and nurture it in a way to be able to guide you to the right way. But it's like your internal fire alarm. Like if you have a building and there's a fire alarm, if it's clogged and it's dirty and you haven't been working on it and it's not clean and there's a fire in the house, you don't even feel something's on fire. And the entire building is just going down and it's on fire and you're not aware. So it's the same thing inside. If a lot of things are happening around you, God is giving you a lot of signs, and there's a lot of like big things in front of you, and you're just completely not aware of it. This is ghafla. And God says in the Quran, ghafla in a different part is اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. So the time of people or reckoning or has drawn near, but yet they are just turning away. We look the other way. We know that our time is coming. We know that, like, you know, every day you live, you're one day closer, unfortunately, to death. It is a fact. But we just don't want to think about it. We don't want to prepare for it. It's just somewhere, these are bad thoughts. The way we, like, a lot of us just think, it's not something we want to talk about or something we want to prepare for. Again, in the Quran, God says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ لَا يَرْجُونَ لِقَاءَنَا وَرَضُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَاطْمَأَنُّوا لَهَا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ آيَاتِنَا غَافِلُونَ. Indeed, those who don't expect to meet us, so they're not worried about a day of judgment where they're going to stand in front of God and present what they've done, accountability. Yes, I did this, I didn't do this, I did this, it was my bad, whatever it is you've done. And they were satisfied. They stopped thinking about that day of judgment, and they were satisfied with this world in a way, not just satisfied, you're too consumed with this world in a way that you don't care about the hereafter, and you felt so secure, a sense of security, that you became completely oblivious to any signs. That's what the verse talks about. And don't be like, I remember me and my wife, we went on a trip last year to Kenya, and there was this and in the safari we saw this Pumbaa, Timon and Pumbaa from I think it was Lion King or something. That animal, it would be eating grass, and then there's a lion, and then as soon as it sees the lion, it runs away. But 5 seconds after the lion can't catch up with it, it forgets. And it goes back again and starts eating grass very close to the lion. As soon as it sees the lion, it runs away again. And then it forgets again that it was being chased by a lion, and it goes right there to its own death. It's walking towards it. Don't be like Pumbaa. That's what I want to tell you. I don't know if you get the story or not, but just don't be like Pumbaa. Like, be aware, and okay, you're given a chance once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, but we might all run out of chances. And God is giving us advice. He says, وَلَا تُطِعْ مَنْ أَغْفَلْنَا قَلْبَهُ عَنْ ذِكْرِنَا وَاتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ وَكَانَ أَمْرُهُ فُرُطًا. So do not obey those who are also in that state. So if you recognize that someone is completely not aware of anything, and on the inside they're not that connected, and they push you in a certain direction, do not just blindly follow. And especially those who follow their desires. There's people that just live, let's do just whatever we want, whenever we want. However, I don't care if it hurts anyone else. I don't care if this. Just live the moment, set it free. Let's not think about anything. There's no consequences to whatever we do. And don't follow these people. That's what God is telling you. And especially those who follow their desires, because it's just, if you're not in control of your desires, you can hurt a lot of others or cross a lot of limits that you're not supposed to. So what are the symptoms? Symptoms is of being in ghafla, just to understand what someone in that state would be like. طول الأمد. طول الأمد is thinking that you are going to live forever, and your heart is not, like, you become hard-hearted in a way that I'm just here for, you never plan, you just live, and that's it. That's one thing. High energy whenever you're doing something, like, and we're all guilty of that one, to be honest. It's just when it's time for fun, we're all very excited, we're always hyped up. We're going out for a trip, we're going out with our friends, we're going diving, we're going to this, we're going to that. But when it's time for worship, or for helping someone in need, or for supporting an orphan, or, I don't know, taking care of a widow, or something serious, we're completely lazy, and we'd rather not do it, and we're going to snooze one way or the other. Another sign is actually snoozing on what is compulsory or a fard. Like, for example, it is a duty on you to pay your zakat, or pay some out of your accumulated wealth, one way or the other, to someone who is actually needy. It can be a family member, this or that, but you just procrastinate, you snooze. So that's another sign. Comparing yourself with those who are less, who are doing worse than you. So it's a good, like, usually you always say, I'm much better, I'm the best. Like, if you surround yourself, if you find out that you are the best amongst your friends, that's a bad sign for you. If you're the best person around your friends, and you say, I'm the only one who doesn't drink, I'm the only one who doesn't party, I'm the only one who doesn't do this, I'm the only one this, I'm so good, see, I'm in control. No, I'm sorry, you're in complete obliviousness, because there's way better people than you and me in this world, and these are the ones we should be friends with, and these are the ones we should try to get closer with, because they lift you up. And don't think you're that strong that you can lift everybody around you. We're all weak, and we're all human, and we all make mistakes, and we all forget. So always look for someone better than you and stick to them. And which will take us to another thing, because it's not going to be easy to stick to them. And I'll talk about this so one of the, like, another thing is that another last sign of ghafla is that you're not happy when someone brings it to your face or reminds you of something, and you start getting offended, and what are you talking about, and this and that. Like the verse in the Quran, God says, فَمَا لَهُمْ عَنِ التَّذْكِرَةِ مُعْرِضِينَ كَأَنَّهُمْ حُمُرٌ مُسْتَنْفِرَةٌ فَرَّتْ مِنْ قَسْوَرَةٍ. What does this mean? So why, when they are reminded, they just run away? And they run away, كَأَنَّهُمْ حُمُرٌ مُسْتَنْفِرَةٌ, just like wild zebras. What do wild zebras do? As soon as they see farat min qaswara, like whenever they see a lion, they just run away in any direction. Whenever anyone reminds you one way or the other, or brings up, like, hey, I think you should be doing this, or I know it's so irritating when someone actually, like, their way, or the way they remind you of one thing because they should be consumed with themselves, which is true. But you're also lucky if you actually have a good friend that cares about you, or a family member, or your mother, because they usually have that good, like, motherly sense, and they want to remind you, don't do this, don't do that. At least take it in, and don't run away like wild zebras, just like the Quran says, like, as soon as they see a lion. كَلَّا بَلَّا يَخَافُونَ الْآخِرَةَ. That's what God says. They're doing this because they have no sense, or they're not aware of the hereafter. They don't care. So how do we work on it? What's the solution of all this? So there's a few things that we can do. One of them is keeping good company. It's not easy, but it's important. Well, again, and good company is essential. This is the best reminder of anything. It reminds you of how far you can go or get in this life and in the hereafter, inshallah. And just being around good people will bring that energy, will put things into perspective. If you're not doing anything, they're doing something good, and you're randomly going to be involved in it, one way or the other. So that's why you should always keep that back, like, core good friends that would always get you involved. Like, if you're a lazy person, but you throw yourself with a very active, good, I'd say, Muslims that are always helping and always volunteering, and always there's something that a project that they're supporting, or a well that they're building, or a school, or an orphan that they're, like, sponsoring. Just being around them, even if you're not doing anything, He'll say, hey, you want like $10? Do you want to donate for this? And randomly you just ended up being part of that project without even knowing. Hey, can you carry this? And then you start carrying, and then you do this, and it helps you be in that circle. That's why it's important. The next thing is remembering death. Like if you have a dear friend that passed away, or a family member, or just a random janazah, and you go in and you follow it, and like death puts a lot of things into perspective, and it's one of the hardest truths or facts in life, and just being mindful of it is useful, and it puts a lot of things into perspective. Is what I'm arguing about right now, is it going to matter in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years? If it doesn't, and what I'm doing, the sin I'm going to commit right now, or whatever I really want to do right now, or whatever you're doing with your life right now, does it matter? Is it making any difference? Is it not? Is it time to change? Another thing is having some kind of relationship with God. So any kind of relationship. Istighfar is a good thing, saying astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah all the time, until you melt that cover that has been piling up on your heart or trees for a long time. You just deroot them and remove them. Astaghfirullah is an amazing, that word, just asking for forgiveness, remembering and asking for guidance. If the Prophet ﷺ asked for guidance 70 to 100 times a day, if he was asking 70 to 100 times a day, how many times should we ask for it? Basically, ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. That's what we say in every prayer. If he was saying it, how much do we need it? Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim, ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. When we're praying, just it should make sense to you when you're saying it, and you're really genuinely asking for it. And the same thing, having a relationship with God, if it's not through these kind of adhkar or sayings or remembrance, something in the Quran, a few verses here or there that you contemplate on, understand the meaning. And inshallah, I hope this is helpful, and we'll see you soon with the next chapter. Thank you. Salam. Bye.